Incoherence reasoning and warrants. Incoherence is bad for good argumentation. For our purposes, argumentative incoherence manifests in one of two primary ways, as inconsistency or as incongruity. Inconsistency is concerned, on one hand, with an argument's internal consistency, that is, the degree to which particular sets of claims and evidence are in harmony with other sets of claims and evidence within the articulation of a given position. If my position is that climate change threatens our food supply, and I provide two conflicting sets of data, one that says excessive cloudiness in Idaho is hurting potato growth, and another that says excessive sunshine in Idaho is burning potato plants, my argument is internally inconsistent and thus incoherent. Sure, I'm consistent insofar as I'm contending that climate change is bad for potatoes, but it's hard to imagine how I could argue that there are simultaneously too many clouds and too much sunshine. Incongruence is concerned with the degree to which the presentation or mood of the person making arguments is consistent with the seriousness of the topic. If my claim is that climate change is bad because it threatens our food supply, which will lead to deaths of millions of future Americans, I probably shouldn't smile or laugh when I say that. Incongruence is concerned with consistency between topic content and speaker authenticity and sincerity. This, of course, has a major impact on one's ethos. If you are insincere, your arguments are less likely to be believed. Incoherence is also concerned with the logical progression from premises to conclusions in arguments. Now, for whatever strange reason, some argumentation and logic folks like to talk about consistency in form, which is something that is honestly very rarely at issue. But they use syllogisms as examples of the issues with consistency in form. This kind of logic absurdity has its place, but it's mostly useless for real people making real arguments about life, politics, and society to other real people. As an example of what I'm talking about, consider the following common syllogistic example. Premise 1. All police officers are honest. Premise 2. John is a police officer. Conclusion. John is honest. So this syllogism has consistency in form, since neither of the premises conflict with one another, and the conclusion logically follows from the information provided in the premises. The conclusion gives no new information. It's deductive. Here's a similar example that shows inconsistency. Premise 1. All police officers are honest. Premise 2. John is honest. Conclusion. John is a police officer. This syllogism is incoherent, since the conclusion does not logically follow from the premises. Notice that the first premise does not say only police officers are honest. Thus, we cannot conclude that John is a police officer just because he's honest. Maybe John is a police officer. Maybe he isn't. None of the information we have here supports a conclusion about that either way. Again, for whatever strange reason, some argumentation practitioners like to spend a substantial amount of time pointing out this very simple and probably unnecessary observation. I suppose if you ever find yourself in a situation where you have to deduce whether John is or isn't honest and all you know is that he's a police officer, you'll quickly realize that a logical syllogism is not going to help you. You're going to have to use some more practical skills and intuitions. I am more interested in helping you sharpen those. To that end, I want to give you some vocabulary to enhance your understanding of how warrants work. Remember that a warrant links the evidence to the claims. Here are some of the warrants Toulmin identified. 1. Causality. This connects claims to evidence by showing that one thing is the result or the effect of another thing. For example, quote, Bill won the lottery, he must be lucky, end quote. Bill's winning of the lottery was caused by his luck. 2. Sign. Discrete signs function as evidence of a wider principle. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Smoke is a sign of fire. 3. Generalization. This assumes that what's true about most situations is true about all situations. For example, the argument, if you want to make more money, you need a college degree. Since in general, people with college degrees make more money, you will make more money after receiving a degree. This is the assumption of generalization. 4. Analogy. This is the assumption that what is true in one situation is comparably true in other similar situations. There may be life on Europa because it has an atmosphere similar to Earth's. 5. Authority. When evidence comes from an authority figure, we assume it's probably good evidence and it likely supports the claim. It makes reasoning easier. 6. Principle. Here, the warrant connects a widely held principle to a conclusion related to the principle. If you see lots of photos of a presidential candidate with their family, you reason that they are a family-oriented person. Then you make moral assumptions about them based on your own beliefs about family-oriented people. One thing all warrants have in common is that they function to one degree or another by way of assumption. That is because warrants, whether they are implicit or explicit, are just reasons. As such, warrants are always imperfect and fallible. You've heard of logical fallacies. Well, logical fallacies are really just faulty warrants. So in this video, I covered principles of incongruity and argumentation and provided some vocabulary related to Tolman's concept of warrants. That's probably enough to think about for now. Thanks.